It's not just a shoehorn, it's a shoehorn on a stick.
You're listening to the Mike Cara radio program.
Welcome back to our next edition of the Mike Cara radio program, Eye on the Nation. We definitely have our eye on the nation, as always, proudly broadcasting from Ocoee, Florida, USA, planet Earth. And my next guest is Mike Medico, who is the CEO of E+M Advertising and is involved with direct response industry. And we actually had Mike on a few weeks ago, and we told you all about what he did and a little bit about his company. And today what we want to do is talk about two subjects, and those are, first of all, we want to discuss, different unusual products, crazy products, but probably very, helpful products. And then we want to talk a little bit about the process of, producing and making a commercial. So, Mike, we're talking about crazy and unusual products, and I'm sure in your day you've seen quite a few then.
Oh, I certainly have, Mike. And by the way, thanks for having me back. Yes, there have been many, many products, and some, I guess, unusual is in the eye of the beholder. Because, you could have some phenomenally successful products, like a music product by then an unknown talent called Boxcar Willie, and that sold millions of albums on television. And you could have something like the Boogie Bass, that little singing fish plaque that you hung on the wall, and as you pass by, the fish would start talking to you. And in that instance, they sold millions of units too. So I guess what is unusual to me may not be unusual to more than 1 million people out there. But it's certainly, direct response has certainly had their share of products that one can consider unusual.
Yeah, and we mentioned, Mike, about the fact that, it seems unusual, but, I'm sure one of the things that you do, is a lot of, research when it comes to these products. And somehow people did want a mounted plastic talking fish then, apparently.
Yes, they did. A lot of them did, and it's the process that some of our clients or some of the inventors who market these products or look to put them on the air have really done this, on some level, some kind of research on them. So they may go to they may look at Home Shopping Network, and for example, and see a product on there that is either very unusual or very niche, and they may decide, that's the type of product that would work well in direct response. Or they may look at a catalog that's out there that sells those types of products, and they look and they consistently see the same product in the catalog month after month, year after year, and they say, "Wow, that must be a product that works." So let's try it on television, and let's see what works in that regard. I'll tell you, there have been. I gave you two examples of products that one would consider unusual. It worked very well. There's another product that the same thing sold millions of pieces, either through direct response or even at retail. One was something called the singing bird clock, and what it was the clock. It had pictures of birds and all the hour positions, and every hour the bird tweet or call, whatever, would ring whenever the designated hour was. So if you had a sparrow on one and you had a crow on the other, you'd have the sparrow tweet and the crow tweet, and it would do it literally every hour in the hour. That was an enormously successful product too.
Oh, wow. So that is interesting, Mike. So, when you mentioned that these inventors and, these businesses come to you, with these products, you've been in this, as we're saying, business for, 40 years. Is it hard to necessarily tell what is going to be a seller? You have to look beyond talking fishes and all these different things. Then, you got to really think, is there a need for this product? It's bizarre, but is it going to sell then?
Right. I think if you take unusual products that people buy just as gag gifts, or they're kind of like just a fun type item. They'll have no real use or intrinsic value in them. They just are funny. You want a bass to put on your wall that talks back to you, fine. That's fun. But if you're looking at what the criteria would be to look to make sure the product at least has a better than even chance of testing properly, then you have the criteria. For example, if you're selling a product for $10, it shouldn't cost you more than $2 to $2.50 to manufacture that product and put it in your warehouse. It should be something that's not readily available in stores. It should be something that is easily demonstrable. So something that in the commercial you could feature the product attributes and benefits. It should be fairly light, and so it will ship easy to the customer. And of course, everything has to have all the regulatory things associated with it. So you can't make wild and outrageous claims about what the product does. So you need to be able to back up what you say it does, and then you put it into a direct response commercial, and that commercial then is translated with an offer to being tested on the airwaves, and then in a week or two whether you hit or miss.
Exactly, and we're talking. We'll talk a little bit about the process of commercials, but one of the things is, we're talking about crazy products and unusual products that there is a need for, but we also want to talk about unusual presentations. We all remember the great and late Billy Mays, and we know the ShamWow guy, and those aren't necessarily as much unusual products as the presentations are unique. So I mean, it's a whole package that when, as we're saying, the direct response media, it has to be if it's unusual as well with the commercial, it works then.
You're absolutely right. When you take something like the gentleman who did the ShamWow, and of course Billy Mays, what the pitch or the presentation of those products were honed through years and years of practice. A lot of those spokesmen, those pitchmen, came from country fairs or the boardwalks, and they would actually sit and demonstrate the product in front of crowds, and the crowds themselves would based on putting their money up, would tell you whether that product and the demonstration around the product were good. So the guy who did the ShamWow product has been sold for decades in a lot of different formats, and a lot of the pitch around that product was honed at these boardwalks and at the county fairs, and they sold thousands and thousands of pieces and units there. So somebody just took that demonstration, took the product, created an offer, and then just presented it in pretty much the same way that they did at in those other venues.
And Mike, we talked about the last time about this, and I want to bring it up again, and that is about the internet. And now, we're talking about, even though that there are in the mall, the made-for-TV, stores, and that it's strictly, something that you order. But now with the internet, basically with ShamWow and all OxyClean and all these, even you're talking fish and all that, I could just go on a website and essentially order it. So, I mean, technology has really made it to a point where I don't even have to talk to anyone. I could just order it like anything else then.
Exactly right. Plus, when you order online, you also have the opportunity of reading more about the product and about what it does and all that's involved in it. So there is a bit more comfort level because it goes beyond just speaking to an operator that's able to take your order, which is fine. A lot of people still do it that way, and it's certainly a valid way to order. But if somebody wanted more information, online websites and landing pages and all that do provide you with the opportunity to get a bit more information about the product and how it works and how fast you can get it, and any other ancillary products that may be associated with it that you may also want to buy. So it really works well.
Oh, great. And we talk, Mike, about, unusual products. And the question I have as far as the direct response marketing, we know they have the commercials, the pitchmen, but my question is, if a product is too unusual, can it air on something like, the shopping channel or QVC? I mean, I don't know if they sold those fish there, but I mean, if the product isn't too unusual, I mean, can it be aired on like the shopping channel or?
Well, the answer is really it needs to be looked at. They have a whole shopping networks have their own process that they put new products through, and they're screened for a number of different things, obviously for the effectiveness of the product and the price and whether it would fit the demographic makeup of their average buyer. So if for example, you wanted to sell a baseball bat, maybe, it wouldn't be a good product for Home Shopping because there are not that many younger men who watch Home Shopping Network. It's generally positioned towards women, and the older women are the viewers in greatest numbers. So you'd want to look for either fashion or jewelry or something in that area, because the people who actually watch Home Shopping Network or QVC are in the in the demographic makeup group, and that really products like that appeal to. So they will vet it, and if it's unusual or doesn't fit the makeup, they probably wouldn't want to run it.
Oh, okay, Mike. And now, was there ever a product, that you had necessarily thought that, it's too unusual or too crazy? I know, again, we always keep coming back to that fish, but I mean, was there any product that surprised you that was a big success that you said, hey, I don't really think this is going to work?
Well, I have to tell you, I never thought that the singing bird clock would work. I just never did. I just thought it was too unusual. I thought who'd want to hear that noise all day and all night? But was I wrong? That was just an amazingly successful product. But then again, there were products that were brought to us that I said this has no chance, and unfortunately, I was right. It was there was one product called the Potty Putter. Now, by the name in itself, it was a little mat and a little golf club, a really abbreviated golf club, and a little ball and a little hole. And basically, what you do is when you went to did your business in a lavatory, you would be able to sit down and play golf while you're doing what you're doing. And it was such I thought, a ridiculous product. And it was so funny. The commercial was just so funny. And it was also a subject that was kind of indelicate, so it was difficult for some of the television networks that we wanted to run on, difficult for them to take it. And in the end, we tested it and gave it everything that it was worth it. The client really believed in the product. It had been successful in other areas. And when we tested it, nothing came of it. It just died on the shelf, so to speak. So, but it was a funny, very funny product, very funny commercial too.
Oh, okay. And I do want to talk, when we talk about, different unusual items, of course, we got to talk about holiday items and Halloween and Christmas items. I mean, as far as in your experiences, Mike, I mean, again, these are a lot of seasonal products. I mean, have you necessarily seen any, crazy holiday products out there?
Well, not really in the holiday product category. The holidays are a bit of a sticky situation for direct marketers, because when you need to build a promotion, what happens is you need a certain testing period, and then you refine the promotion and you start expanding it in a kind of a slow and deliberate and measured way. What happens when you position products or offers around a holiday, you have a fairly short period of time to get people in the mood and in the spirit and get them to react to it. So if you're doing a Mother's Day promotion, let's say, you would have probably about a 4 to 6 week window of time to get out there, sell your product, and then kind of pull all the other advertising after Mother's Day. So direct marketers, it's more difficult to do it with products around the holidays. Christmas is perhaps a little different, because you could still take a regular product, not necessarily something that has Christmas written all over it, but you can take a regular product and position it as a gift. And in that regard, you do have a better chance. But Christmas is probably atypical of the holiday type marketing that you would do.
Exactly.
On the direct response end, Mike?
Yeah, I do. Okay, Mike. Now, as we mentioned, we want to talk about, as far as, making these TV commercials. We've seen a lot, and you deal with that, and we want to talk about the process. So I mean, on average, how long does one of these spots actually take to make, like from concept to actually airing then?
Well, it can take, obviously, the production values you build in have a lot to do with it. So if you have a lot of production value, for example, if you wanted to shoot on location, or if you wanted to do a lot of computer animation and graphics and that type of thing, it could take much longer. But when we do a commercial at our agency, it generally takes us from concept through the final approved master. It probably takes anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks, and that assumes the approval process, our approval process with our clients. It assumes that goes relatively quickly. It's not a when we do our concept, we submit a concept, then generally 2 or 3 concepts, and the client and our creative director have a discussion, and once they determine the right concept, then they put copy to paper, and that script or that copy that we write for that commercial, could go through 4 or 5 drafts. And once the final draft of the commercial is done, then you put together what's called a storyboard. And the storyboard is actually a rendering, a drawing of the different scenes in the commercial, so that the director has an indication of what the flow, what a shot on the television and on the screen will look like, and they get to see the flow of the copy juxtaposed to the video. So that happens, and then once the storyboard is approved, then the production starts taking place. So you interview the talent for the script, for the production. Then you also get all the props that needed. You'll find a location, whether it's at a home or studio or literally on location. And then once all that's done, then the video is then taken into an editing suite. And in that editing suite, the director and the copywriter, sometimes they're the same, and the copywriter get together, and then they work with the editor. And the editor actually starts cutting and segmenting the video into a logical flow that matches the script and matches the storyboard. And then that goes through a number of different iterations itself. You're going to have maybe two or three edits, what we call rough cuts, until before we go into final editing. But by the time you're at the second or third rough cut, you say, okay, we got it down. Now it's just a matter of doing the transition and putting in graphics and all the other aspects, all the other elements of the production that really need to be there. And then you're kind of ready to test, Mike. That's typical process. That's the typical process.
Oh, okay. And the one question I have, Mike, is I'm sure that you've seen both cases where in one case, the company, they have their own advertising. They're very specific in what they want. They have scripts. They have storyboards. And then on the other hand, you probably have a company that has no idea what they want, and they're looking for your expertise to make it from scratch.
Right. Well, no, you're absolutely right. And a lot of our clients are professionals, and they certainly are experienced in direct response, so they know what's necessary to know what the process is. But if you were a neophyte, and if you had a product and you're ready to go to market with it, and you're thinking direct to consumer is a good way to do that, then a commercial. Then you would go to an agency, and the agency would be able to guide you in terms of what is needed to be done. So in traditional direct response marketing, what we would recommend is a longer unit. And by unit, I mean a 2-minute spot versus what a traditional 30-second or 60-second spot might be. And the reason you go with 2 minutes is because, number one, you're introducing a product, and you need to get the viewer who's looking at this product on television, possibly for the first time, you need to be able to demonstrate what that product does, create value in it, to highlight the benefits and attributes, and then in 2 minutes, hopefully engage the viewer to the point that they'll pick up the phone or go online or go to their smartphone and order. And that's kind of why you use the longer unit. But in my experience, and I've been, Mike, I've been around the block a while. What is critical is I think there's three elements. You need to have, in the commercial, needs to create a sense of urgency. Somebody's looking at this and they say, why do I need this? Why do I want to spend $10 or $20 or $30 for this product? The commercial has to communicate to you why you should have this, and that urgency needs to be in that product. The second one is give them a compelling reason to respond, and that's generally done with a price point that's under $20, at least in those that 2-minute genre. It's under $20. You should have bonuses or premiums or something free to give it, and that kind of gives the viewer a compelling reason to say, okay, I know I need this, and wow, they're also giving me extra items along with my purchase. And the last thing you need is to have a compelling call to action. And by that I mean you have to ask the viewer to pick up the phone, to go to the website, and give them all the information they need to basically say, okay, my decision is made, my buying decision has been made, I like the product, I like what it does, I know I need it, it's a good price, I'm getting this extra free thing, now they're telling me I have to pick up the phone or go to the website, and I will. And that may take someone 2 or 3 times to see the commercial to do that, or they may pick up immediately, or they may never pick up. And that's the kind, during the testing process of the 2-week that we use to test, that's what we look to find out.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. So yeah, Mike, you had mentioned the length of the commercial. So now, if the commercial is longer, does that necessarily mean a longer production time, or?
Well, no. You generally plan. It does cost a few more dollars in editing because you have to edit like a 2-minute spot versus a 1-minute spot. But when you plan a production, everything that you needed that needs to be taped is accounted for between the script and the storyboard. And sometimes a producer or a director will see a shot that maybe they hadn't planned for while they're in production, and they may just have the cameraman take an extra bit of video that they could look at in the editing and see if it fits or it doesn't. But for generally speaking, it doesn't cost significantly more at all to do a 2-minute spot versus a 1-minute spot. But it can cost a few dollars more. But that's generally in editing after everything's been taped.
Okay, Mike, and now I want to talk a little bit about, we're saying different styles of these commercials, kind of like the infomercial. And the one style is, I don't know if you do a lot of it, is where you think you're actually watching some sort of newscast, and that is actually a commercial for something. So, I mean, there's so many different ways, and that one always sticks out. So, there's different ways that you go about that. I mean, is there, I mean, you look at the product and you see what would be best, if having a fake newscast would be best for a product, or?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, Mike. And you're right. What happens is, I think obviously the format, the concept is going to dictate is dictated through various different communications. So, for example, in direct response, one of the concepts that we use is problem solution. You find a problem, and the product is the solution to that problem. And then you also find celebrity endorsement. You see that a lot in skincare and cosmetics, where you have this, perhaps maybe an older actress, somebody who isn't maybe on the A list, but there could be a certain solid B list actress who's beautiful and who's aged really well and who uses a beauty regimen, and then she's able to come on and give you her own testimony regarding the effectiveness of the product. Then like you said, there may be a newscast type product, and that type of concept, and that would fit a certain type of product. So, for example, if you did a newscast type of concept, you might want to use that for a financial service program that you're selling, or you might have an insurance product that you're selling, or something along that lines. Because what you've done is you've kind of made the commercial, instead of making it like an aggressive type of pitch, what you're doing is you're making it appear more informed and serious by doing a newscast. And there's also a lot of people just do straight copy with graphics. They don't even put a person on. But that's only when I would only use that type of a concept if the call to action was a very easy one. So, for example, call for free information, or call to get your free sample, or something like that. Because people their attention spans are such that they want to be entertained. If they're watching television, they want to be entertained, and they expect the commercials to, on some level, to entertain them.
Okay, Viking. Now, I have to ask you your thoughts on this. We always see these commercials where it says, call in the next 10 minutes and we'll throw this in, call in the next half hour. And, I want to get your thoughts on if that's a good idea. And is it really true? I mean, is there really a way to monitor whether you call the next half an hour then?
Well, they used to use that a lot of the time. We don't use that. We don't think it's right. And at one point in time, when certain marketers would use that, they would make it seem that after 10 minutes or a half hour or whatever that time frame they put it in, you're not able to buy it. And that's wrong. It's illegal. And because they found out they were taking the orders even after the half hour. So a lot of the government and the regulatory people got down on that type of marketing. So you can't use it. A lot of people still use it, like call in the next 10 minutes. You don't want to miss out. You don't want to, you don't want to, that's part of the urgency that I would consider part of that urgency, creating that sense of urgency I had mentioned earlier. We don't use it because we don't think it's all that effective. I think people recognize that it's just a kind of a ploy on some level to get you to pick up the phone sooner. But then again, on the marketer side of the coin, they want to sell as many of the product as they can. So some of them think it's still effective. I personally don't.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. Okay, Mike, you had mentioned about celebrity endorsements. So, I mean, a situation is where a client would say, well, I definitely want this celebrity or that celebrity. And then you've got the task of trying to get that celebrity to do the commercial. Is that it? Or?
Yes, exactly. And we generally talk to either their publicists or to their agents, and we first of all measure the level of interest, and then once our clients give us a certain budget that they will allow us to give us for a celebrity testimonial, and for that budget, generally we get a list of various talent who would be within that budget range. And once the client and our agency guys sit down and we look at the various lists, we find out the one we think best fits the overall product and creates that connection between the celebrity endorser, the product, and the viewer. Once we determine that, then we negotiate. And once the deal is made, then we go and do a commercial with them. And it's been, celebrity, again, they need to be used right. They can't just be used for the sake of celebrity. Because I think if you have a good product and it requires demonstration, if you use a celebrity, sometimes that could even detract from the overall product itself. And that would be an inhibitor, for people ordering. They may be saying, oh, my God, look, there's, Stephanie Powers on the and they'll only be looking at Stephanie Powers. They won't be looking at what she's trying to tell you about.
Oh, okay. So get to the nitty-gritty here, Mike. Now, when the commercial is done, my question is, with your particular agency here, your company, so they have the commercial. Now, do you do anything as far as the actual booking of the commercials or recommend when they air it or not?
Yes. We do media planning and buying. We do all the we establish the websites for the clients if that's what they need. We actually create the landing pages. We develop the back-end shopping cart software. We have our own software to manage and track that. We work with telemarketing centers to help to have the toll-free number so that they could take the response for people who want to call in as opposed to going online. So the planning, buying, tracking, optimization, analysis of all the responses that come in. And then what we do is based on that, we manage it over the test flight. At the end of the test flight, we determine how successful the promotion is. And by success, the success is always measured on profitability based on what your average revenue is versus your average less your average cost. Whatever's left, that's what we have to spend on advertising. And if that figure is lower than what it should be, we're not making money. If it's higher, then we are making money. And it's a process that we all go through with every one of our clients and every one of our promotions.
Oh, okay, Mike. That's good to know. Before we go, we again want to let everyone know about your website, and we can get more information about what you do.
Sure. Thank you, Mike. Well, our website is www.emadv as in victory.com, and you can find out about the agency and about some of the experiences. Give you a little background into direct response and where it's going, or where we believe it's going, and I'd be glad to talk to any of your listeners if they have questions about the process and how they might want to use it.
All right. So if we have any inventors out there or companies there that are wondering about that, you're the guy to go to then about all those questions.
Yes, I'd like to think I am anyway.
Okay, Mike, we appreciate your time. And so any final thoughts on either the two subjects, either unusual products or things to remember when making a TV commercial?
Well, I think two things. You when you look at a product, you have to look at it in as objective a way as you can. You should never fall in love with a product so much that you think because you love it, everybody else will love it. Approach it in an objective way. Crazy products have worked in the past, and they certainly will continue to work in the future. But that's not, especially in an economy like we have right now, that's not what motivates people to buy. What motivates people to buy is the price and the utility of the product. I think on those two levels, Mike, I think that's what people should look at before they do this. And also understand that it is a process. If it doesn't work the first time out, but if your agency, whoever you deal with, whether it's us or someone else, your agency should be able to evaluate what may need to be done in the second phase of the test that could make it successful. So always look beyond that. And the last thing, I just thought to give you a brief thing. We ran this product many years ago. It was called Extend a Fork. I think it's one of the funniest products we've ever run. And what it is like the old, like an old car antenna, telescoping antenna that you used to have on the side of your car. Well, somebody took a fork, welded it to the top of this antenna, and what you did was as you extended the antenna, your fork became 3 feet long. So if you were sitting at dinner and you wanted to reach a baked potato at the other end of the table, you're able to extend your extender fork, reach over, pick up the potato, and put it on your plate. I thought it was the most hilarious thing, but America didn't agree with me, and it was it was a failure, but on TV at least. But it was certainly a fun product, and I know that the person who came to us had nothing but the highest hopes for it.
Okay, my guest has been Mike Medico, and you've been listening to the Mike Cara radio program, Eye on the Nation, and please catch us again next time.